thanks for, I'm just going to carry it over. I like to walk on ADD. If you see me kind of shaking, it's not because I'm nervous, it's actually the tequila from last night. Just to get water all day today. Anyway, so what do you guys think? This is an awesome event. I'm excited to be here. I was born at a young age, and unfortunately my mom had me circumcised, and so I think I was on day 8, and I didn't speak with her for an entire year after that happened. And then I kind of fell into an entrepreneur family because we were kind of forced to. My father was a teacher, and so my mom, to make money, would do like internet, or not internet, but she signed up for a company called Amway, and then they signed up for a company called New Skin, and then they signed up for a company called Amway again, and then she signed up for a company called Amway again. It was funny, she signed up for it 3 times and it never was successful. But we always listened to these tapes on becoming an entrepreneur and profits being better than wages. And so at a young age, I wasn't homeschooled, but I was kind of indoctrinated, because after we get home from school, you know, my parents would have these Amway meetings. So, long and short, I turned 14. They wanted me to go mow lawns and shovel snow and go do these things that 14-year-olds that want money go and do. And I did that for a little bit, and then I said, screw that. I'd rather like make overrides. And I remember a quote saying, I'd rather have the efforts of 1% of the efforts of 100 different people than 100% of my own efforts. And so the concept of leverage and passive income intrigued me. And so that's how you get free. I mean, money isn't everything, but money will buy you time. And time buys you freedom, and freedom buys you happiness. So, in a way, money buys you happiness. So I highly recommend making lots of money, because that just opens up more doors to then go and travel around the world if that's what you're passionate about. It just allows us to do what a lot of people don't get to do until they're in their 60s or 70s and they're retired, and then their knees hurt so they can't walk up and down the steps or whatever. So I was just on a cruise last week through Europe and the Canary Islands, and you know, everybody on the boat was like 60 and older, and then there's me and my wife. So we need more young anarchists that aren't libertarians too. I know half of you are anarchists, half of you are minarchists, whatever it is, but get more libertarians to be on these trips with us, like Acapulco and others, and so I hope to share a little bit about my story and then some opportunities I've come across that you guys might be interested in working with. What I basically did when I started at 14, my uncle was a doctor, and he told my parents, he's actually the physician of the year, top doctor in America, and his buddy, they go to these physician of the year conferences and get drunk and pat each other on the back and give each other awards and stuff. And so he met this other doctor, they became friends, and this guy literally made a discovery that's the most important medical breakthrough in the last 100 years. And it basically modulates the immune system, so people with overactive immune systems, autoimmune disorders like allergies and asthma and arthritis and diabetes and lupus and MS and all that, it brings the immune system down. If they have underactive immune systems like cancer or the flu or whatever, it brings the immune system up. And so they created this powder that's basically the raw materials needed to replicate a new body. And because every 7 years you get a new body, your cells are constantly replicating, your cells make new tissues, make new organs, make new systems. You can get a body every 7 years. So if you have a pancreas that isn't producing insulin, you have diabetes, all you have to do is eat the raw materials needed to build another pancreas, and 6 months later, now you have a pancreas that's brand new, creating insulin. You're no longer an insulin-dependent diabetic. So that's kind of where I started, and I thought, wow, all these people, someone dies of heart disease every 33 seconds, someone dies of cancer in a minute. This is a large group of people. We're spending trillions on this problem, and the answer that traditional allopathic medicine is, hey, we're just going to give you drugs to treat the symptoms instead of go out and fix the root cause of why you're sick in the first place. So I focused on that and started sharing it with people, and we created an internet system online, and we decided to copy Tom's shoes because we like to give back and help people. And one of the biggest problems that humanity faces is global malnutrition. It kills 20,000 children a day, 5 million kids a year. It's a huge problem, and I think the free market entrepreneurs can solve this problem better than any government can. So the idea is like Tom's shoes, where you buy a pair of shoes from Tom's, they donate a pair of shoes, so it's a donations through consumption model. Instead of asking people for money, why not just shift the way we spend our money and vote with our wallets and stop doing business with douchebag corporations that want to rip us off and enslave us, and instead do business with guys like me. So what we do is we, anytime someone buys our product, we put it in a bar, we donate a bar to an orphan fighting malnutrition. So the goal is to link 5 million consumers with 5 million orphans, wipe out global malnutrition, and do it without asking the government for any help. And so far I've been working on that project for 18 years, and we've given away 30 million bars to 250,000 kids in 80 countries. My wife and I travel around the world doing this.
Yeah!
Team that's helped in word of mouth and internet, and we've got people all over the world now, and orphanages and stuff like that. In fact, we're here in Acapulco, going to go see an orphanage. When is it, tomorrow or Sunday, Monday, whatever it is. Anyways, I took some notes here because I only got a little bit of time here. Jeff is biting into my schedule. Just kidding. But when I became an entrepreneur, instead of starting, you automatically become a libertarian if you're an entrepreneur. So instead of starting with politics with people and arguing and finding your differences, you just say, hey, become an entrepreneur, and then they automatically, when they see all this money being taken from them by the IRS and stuff, they're like, oh crap, this sucks. And they just fall into it, right? So that's kind of what I like to do, is instead of approaching and conflicting with people and fighting, I just teach them how to become an entrepreneur, and then they automatically become a libertarian. And that's where I discovered Ron Paul. Heard about it from Robert Kiyosaki, a good friend of mine, who wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he was preaching about Ron Paul and auditing the Fed, and I was like, wow, then read Ed Griffin's book, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. And so I then became a regional currency officer for the Liberty Dollar, because I was like, silver is the answer. We had mid-silver and Bernard von Nothaus. We got a Liberty Dollar guy up here earlier, and I was like, yeah. But then they stole all of our Ron Paul points. So I was like, well, screw that. We'll just, we started another one called American Open Currency Standard that did say dollar on it, and we were minting lots of those. And then I decided that I was going to start doing this time currency, you know, trying to get people in a barter network and stuff. We call it mountain hours. It's kind of like a knockoff of Bitcoin hours or mile high hours and these various other currencies. And then Bitcoin came out, but it was kind of like a gradual, like going from like a Republican to a constitutionalist to a libertarian to an anarchist. It's kind of been like a 10-year journey for me, figuring this all out. Ernie Hancock's really helped me a lot. We had a lot of late night discussions on how I went from a libertarian to an anarchist. But anyway, so to stick with the wellness stuff, because I went from wellness basically, and that's the project that's on autopilot, to trying to take out the banking cartels. Because the idea is take out the pharmaceutical cartel, take out the banking cartel, and take out the oil cartel. Those are the three things that are basically the biggest problems to humanity. And so that's why I got so passionate about barter networks and Bitcoin and mountain hours and all this silver and gold and all that. I then wanted to help people get off the cigarettes and stuff. I don't know, like I spoke. I was in China and I brought home these electronic cigarettes. We started a company called Joby, which is now a pretty big electronic cigarette company trying to help everyone switch from tobacco that gives you cancer to e-cigs. Anyways, it's kind of a long story, but this is my journey to how I became a perpetual traveler. Your journey will be different. The idea though, with these e-cigs, got me thinking, because after Ron Paul, I was active with Ron Paul, he told me, because I became a national delegate, I went and got elected to the state convention, national convention, all this, and he told me to just focus on local stuff and changing anything at the national level is too tough. And I was like, well, okay, what should I do? So I figured, I have this e-cig, why don't I legalize marijuana? So in Breckenridge, which is my town, I went around the bank, the post office, and the grocery store and stuff. I collected all the signatures I needed to do a ballot initiative about a petition that we created, and I put it on the ballot, and Breckenridge became the first town in America to legalize marijuana. So then you can feel like an airplane if you're into that. I'm all into the CBD side of marijuana, the cannabinoids, because that's the stuff that wipes out cancer and seizures and all this kind of stuff. And we're very active in that field now because I took that ballot initiative that brought together 64 counties in Colorado, and we became the first state to legalize marijuana. And so that thanks to Ron Paul, that's why marijuana is legal, because I'm not going to say I'm going to take all the credit for doing it, but we basically became the first town to do it, and it kind of went from there. Now Alaska did it, and Oregon and Washington, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so next thing, how do we take out the oil cartel? This one you might be able to help me on too, if that's of interest. Right now, solar is the most viable option. I know there's magnetic motors and all this cool toroidal stuff. If you've looked at the movie Thrive or anything like that, you know that these new things, carbon nanotubes, they're all coming. But what's happening now that we can take advantage of right now is solar. And what I'm personally doing, and I'm trying to have everybody do it with me if you want. I started a company called Elevate a little while ago with my buddy Wright, we were talking about Import Fest. That's when this thing was getting birthed. And it's going well. We're still in beta doing installs. But how this works is, you know how the iPhones, you can sign a 2-year contract with AT&T and Verizon and they'll give you the phone for free? Like, to just give it away. I'm sure, how many of you guys got your phone for free? The first time, now you're not doing it anymore. I've had like the last 6 phones for free. And so it was a genius idea, so we thought, well, why don't we do the same thing with solar? It's the same financing model. And so the idea with this is, and if you're interested, I'll pay you $1,000 for every referral you give me. But we give away a free solar system to anyone that wants to get off the grid and become sustainable and all that kind of stuff. We're giving away Teslas or the new BMW i8s, which are the new electric cars. And we're not really giving them away, you have to earn it, but it's pretty simple how to earn it. And what we basically do is say, hey, if you've got a power bill that's over $100 a month, and you've got a 650 credit score, and you own the house, you gotta be entitled. You can't be a renter, you have to be entitled to the property. There's 55 million people that qualify for this solar giveaway deal. Only 500,000 homes have solar, so that's less than 1% of market penetration right now. That's why our stock is going to go from 10 cents a share all the way, because we just did a reverse merger and bought a shell company, so they were public actually. If you want to look at the ticker, it's ELED, that's our ticker. Elevate. So basically the idea is, I give you this free solar system to zero out your power bill, and instead of you paying the electric company, your utility, you pay me. But I look at your bill, whatever your bill happens to be, and I chop it in half. So if you have a $500 monthly bill, I chop your bill in half to $250 a month, and that's what you pay me. Then at the end of the contract, you own the system outright, free and clear, costs you nothing out of pocket. And so that's one of my major projects right now. And that's, if everybody I talk to wants to solar stuff. And there's a great passive residual income, because I pay you $1,000 up front, and then you make $10 a month in residual for the next 20 years. So if you give away 1,000 systems, you make $1 million bucks, plus you get $10,000 a month for the next 20 years. And then you also get a free car, and you're helping humanity get free from the oil cartel and everyone off the grid. So, and now with these new Tesla batteries, you can actually completely disconnect them from the grid. And so they don't even, most people want to sell all the energy back that they're not using, they sell it and get a check back from the power company. But some people want to just disconnect completely and have their own battery bank in their garage or whatever. So you got both options. So where do we go from here? So I basically am really passionate about helping people become financially independent, because then you can do whatever you want. So the idea is to start a business, whatever it happens to be. I recommend wellness or helping wipe out the banks or helping with energy. But make sure your passive income beats your expenses. So if you can either get your expenses really low or your income really high, but you don't have freedom until your passive residual income is paying for all your expenses each month. And so that's what I basically teach people how to do. If you guys ever want to connect with me on Facebook, it's Joby Weeks, or you can find me on my email. It's jobyweeks@gmail.com. Love to answer any questions. I can actually take some questions right now if you guys want before dinner. The idea is, what happened with me is I became broke at a higher level when I was young. I didn't really understand money back then. I went and bought a bunch of houses and cars and all this. And I had to make $30,000 a month just to be at zero, because I had so many mortgages and car payments and all that stuff, and I was being retarded, right? So I was like, you know, all that crap isn't what success is. Success is really just a journey. It's not really a destination. They call this thing the law of diminishing marginal utility, where like your first Mercedes is the awesomest, and then your second is pretty cool, and then the fifth one is like, and your 30th one you're like, have it, or whatever. So like you don't get happiness by buying a bunch of shit, you know, and you can't, and it starts owning you, actually. What you get happiness is making memories of the relationships you make and changing the world in a positive way, and that's what brings real happiness. To get emails all the time from people thanking you that their marriage has been saved now because they're making an extra 10 grand a month, and now they don't have the stress, and they can afford to send their kids to college. Whatever the why is, the idea is turning your wants into your musts. A lot of people want all these things, but they don't get them because that's what they just want them. If they must have them, like you must have air, you must have food, you must have water, then you get it because it's a must. Everybody gets their musts. So you just gotta psychologically switch everything you want into a must, and then it always comes. And so the law of attraction and positive thinking and all this stuff, you see that movie The Secret and all that, it really does work. You can manifest connections. I mean, you'll think about something, and if you constantly think the positive, like it's already been provided, like you're happy and grateful and thankful that these things have come to you. Like you guys must have manifested something, because here I'm telling you about how to get rid of cancer and how to get off the grid and all this kind of stuff. So you've done something, you've manifested that, but it's not knowledge that's power, it's in the application of knowledge that brings power. So I'm happy to just answer questions. I'm not really, I mean, given a talk like this in a long time, I've just been traveling, but he wanted me to tell a funny story beforehand. Because along my journey, I was like, I gotta get a passport from another country to become a perpetual traveler. So I thought, I'm gonna get a Kingdom of Heaven passport and try to travel on this. Because I believe that I'm a spiritual being having an earthly experience, and that this body is just a spacesuit. And when the body dies, I don't die, and my soul lives forever, my spirit, whatever. Maybe I reincarnate, who the hell knows. But for me, I said, hey, I got this Kingdom of Heaven passport, I'm gonna go to Japan to try this thing out. So I get to Japan, and I give it to the lady, and the lady doesn't speak any English. She says, well, what's this? And I'm like, I don't live here on Earth, I'm just visiting for a while. she's like, huh? So she gets a translator over, and I'm like pulling out a line up in this room trying to explain to the translator that I'm just a spiritual being having an earthly experience. So they are not letting me into Japan. My poor wife, she's so patient. I don't know where she's at, but she's running somewhere up there. Anyway, so the next thing was like, I went online and bought the world passport. I was like, you know, if I can't prove that I'm a spiritual being from heaven, I live on Earth, at least I'm playing the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, blah, blah, blah. So I pull out my world passport, and they wouldn't let me in to Japan on the passport either. And I just heard Roger, poor guy, he's been trying to get into America with his legitimate medicine, kids when they're not letting me either. So it's not only me. Some other people are having some issues too. So if you guys are looking at having a second passport, which I recommend, go to Jeff's site and he can look you guys up, and I'm sure you've all been there. Half of you guys already probably have second citizenship somewhere. We're working right now on creating a passport for the smallest island country in the world, which is a guy I saw on TV the other day, and so we went out to a place called Madeira in Funchal. If you go to the Guinness Book of World Records and look it up, it's called the Isle of Pontifica, and he calls himself Prince Renato. And there's only 4 citizens of this island, but it's interesting because the island is like Hawaii. It was owned by Portugal back in the day. In fact, the first city in the Atlantic Ocean was on this island. The Portuguese would use it to refill as they go across the Atlantic. And Christopher Columbus, all these guys went there. Well, the king of Portugal went bankrupt 100 years ago and decided to get rid of all these possessions and made him autonomous, like Macau and stuff like that. So, yeah, everyone still speaks Portuguese, they're their own thing. But anyways, so this guy in 1904, a British family bought this island, and then he bought it from them, and it's a sovereign island. It's one small little. So I went out there to talk to the guy, he made me the Minister of Finance, and I'm going to and so we might have some passports for that island soon. I don't know if it'll work or not. We gotta get some people to recognize this. But couple of projects along the way. I'm kind of rambling on here, but if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to expound on anything that you guys might find interesting and go from there.
The solar technology thing, could that be sold in other countries?
Okay, so I can do residential deals are the easiest and the fastest. From start to finish, we just did a house in 17 days, from the guy saying yes to the guy getting solar on his roof. We tell people it's going to take 90 days because I like to under-promise and over-deliver. I hate to over-promise and under-deliver. I hate that. I hate it when people do that to me. So basically, I can finance corporate deals, commercial deals, up to $5 million without them having to put any money down. So
in any country on the planet?
Right now, I've only been doing America. I only just started, but this is going to be a huge wave. We're going to hit 50% market penetration in the next 3 years.
And just another thing I'm noticing, because at the moment I'm in the state of Florida, which is my father just passed away. Yep. And I noticed that all the towns there seem to aggregate all the utilities into one bill. Yep. Have you heard of this? And
I have.
How would you?
So some states, there's 14 states that do something called a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement. Think of like when you're buying a car. You can either buy a car cash, and you don't pay any interest. You can finance the car, and you have to pay some interest to pay off in like 5 years. Or you can lease a car, which is kind of dumb, but it's the tax deduction. But so is buying a car. Some people lease cars, whatever. So I recommend buying the system cash, but not a lot of people can afford it. That's why no one has solar. Only 500,000 people in the whole country have solar, because if you had to write a $50,000 check for your car, no one would be driving. We'd have no traffic. But because banks finance cars, now everyone can afford them because you do monthly payments and blah, blah, blah. Now everyone's got a car, now we got traffic. So the same with solar. Banks were not buying the contracts. But when the telephone companies and the car companies got banks to buy the contracts, well now we just made some relationships with some banks that are actually buying our paper. So we can do that for 2.99% interest up to $5 million. I just got a $1.6 million system out. And the commissions are six-figure commissions. So if you give away a $1.5 million system to your buddy with a warehouse building, so if you can make $100,000 giving away a system for free, it costs him literally nothing out of pocket. You're going to cut his power bill in half, and he's just going to pay you instead of the power company. And then at the end of the contract, he owns it outright free and clear, and he's off the grid. Right now, you have a lifetime contract with the power company, so you're going to be paying them no matter what if you do nothing. If you do this, you're going to be able to get off the grid between 8 and 12 years, depending on if you keep your power bill the same or if you just cut it in half and just pay half. Or you can pay it off faster. It's like any kind of car payment work.
Do you do it for new construction too?
Yes. Yep, new construction too. But the easiest and fastest is residential, and we got a simple website that people can just go there, they become an affiliate, they get a rep ID number, and then with the rep ID number, they have a back office, and a replicated page and all this kind of stuff. Then what you do is say your uncle wants a solar system, you say, hey, you got to email me a copy of your power bill, because you got to verify that it's his name on the power bill and that he's got a power bill over $100 a month, because it's not really worth it if he doesn't have a power bill under $100 a month. But as long as it's over 100, we just press a button, submit the power bill to our website, and our call center handles everything from there. They call them up, they do the site survey, they give them the proposal, they pull the permits, and they do the install. Everything is automated from that point. All you have to do is submit a power bill, and after install happens, you get $1,000 every time you do that. So you can do 1 a month, make $1,000 a month, or do 5 a month, make $5 grand a month, and that will give you freedom, because you're going to get passive income too, to then travel around the world and become a perpetual traveler if you want.
I think Florida is actually trying to stop this because they put the sewage and the trash collection and the electricity all in one bill.
Yeah, some states don't want people to become free.
Yeah.
So that sucks for you.
No.
Or you can just get a battery bank and go up yourself and freaking disconnect. And just put it, have all your power going into your garage in a battery bank. I mean, the technology is like cut in half, like 60% in the last year. It's really coming down a lot.
What's the web address?
I'm going to track this all to Jeff, so that Jeff will make an override commission on all you guys, whoever wants free solar. Because I appreciate Jeff letting me even talk for a couple minutes, just telling people kind of my passions and what we're up to. Yeah.
Does it matter the size of the house, or the type of the style of the house, or anything like that?
We look on Google Maps on their roof to make sure it's the right kind of roof, and we cut. Yeah, so if they got the wrong roof, then no, it'll fail. Only 55 million. There's 300 million people that want it, but only 55 million can actually get it. So you might submit 10 bills and only 4 go through. Not everybody has a 650 credit score, so people don't have a big enough power bill. Everybody's different, every state's different laws, so it's kind of a pain. That's why we automate the whole thing and have the call center do all that crap. Because they know all the different utilities around all the different counties and states and stuff. So all you gotta do is upload the power bill digitally, and then it's all automated from there.
Have you come up with distribution for CBD yet?
Yes, we can ship across state lines as long as we pull the THC out first. So I actually can get 0.999 purity fine CBD. And there's 72 different elements from the plant, but the CBDN one makes you sleep. Anyways, long and short, each one of them does something different. We're doing actual research now, trying to figure out, working with 3 different universities here, which CBDs do what. And so I can actually take CBDs and ship them to all 50 states, as long as we take the THC out. And we sell a kilo right now for $65,000 a kilo. And if you can sell a kilo, I'll pay you like 10 grand commission if you got anyone else about it.
I think you mentioned the total available market is something like 65 million houses, you think, in the United States?
Where are you?
Over here. Do you believe that that can be done without any upgrades to the existing grid infrastructure?
Screw the grid. My goal is to get everyone off the grid, man. I want everyone to have the battery banks, and then they're full on. Because here's the thing: if you have a battery bank, and solar might not be the best technology in 5 years, maybe it is a magnetic motor. Well, then we'll just use the same financial business model, but just throw magnetic motors instead of solar panels. So the idea is get the storage. That's where the real opportunity in solar is in the battery technology. But this is a land grab right now, guys, because once people get solar, they're not jumping from utility to utility to utility every 4 years and 3 years. You know how energy deregulation is happening right now? It's the largest transfer of wealth in human history. That's what Warren Buffett says. Energy deregulation will be the largest transfer of wealth in human history. What's the wave? Solar. But the secret is battery bank technology, and that's my cat's meow, if you will, is once people have that battery, then screw the grid, dude. You know, you just clip, and go. Yeah.
Yeah, I have just one quick question. Is your program restricted to southern states, or?
No. Massachusetts, we're doing tons of them. And you know what's crazy? Some of these states, the government will actually buy half the system for you.
Yeah, well, I'm in New Hampshire, you know, we have 3 feet of snow cover right now. I think solar is kind of crippled with snow, isn't it?
Well, depends if your house is facing south. I mean, that's where we put it, on the south side where the sun's beating down all day long.
See, I have a nice southern exposure.
And it melts. When it snows on it melts off it. So it actually is a nice way to clear your roof, really. Because throw these panels on and the sun will just fall right off. Yeah.
What if you live in Ohio where the sun never shines?
There's new solar technology. I was just at the solar convention in Vegas, massive convention. And I met these guys that run this company called Hanwha, which is a German company out of Korea. The Koreans bought it, they're German anyways. Badass solar panels. I think they're the best in the world right now, at least. So we made a deal with them. They work with UV. So it could be cloudy all day, and the UV rays will still go through the clouds, and you can still generate electricity. Yeah. I'm telling you, cool stuff is happening in solar right now.
What are some of the ideas that you got out of Amway or whatever when you were growing up that changed your relationship with money so that you could do all the amazing things you do?
Because I just was ingrained that money is just a tool, and you want to have money work for you rather than you work for money, and so you can't have a job, because when you're trading time for money, there's a limit to how much money you can make, because there's a limit to how much time you've got. So if anybody presents an opportunity to you, if there isn't a passive income phase to it, like you write a book, you get paid over and over and over. 5 years from now, someone keeps buying his book, he's going to keep getting paid because it's the residual income mindset. Work once, get paid forever. Give away the solar system, get paid $10 a month for 20 years type stuff. And so we create these vehicles to create all this cash flow where we can then bankroll all these other projects, the 3D printing revolution that's coming. I mean, my next step is creating a base powder, that nutrition I was telling you, that bar. Create a base powder, hook up with Peter Thiel, and 3D print food with the best nutrition in the world. And you can print it into a slice of pizza. Imagine my time done, or? Yes. Let's rock and roll this thing, guys. Aloha. Thanks for having me. All right. That's only able to produce 10. Well, what happens is, the solar system is the 10, so you have 1 extra kilowatt hour that you have to purchase back from the grid. Because you're in tier 4, normally maybe you paying 40 cents, and that's driven by 1. Now you're at tier 1, paying 15 cents per kilowatt hour. That's how I could walk in and say, hey, I will cut the power bill by 50%. 30 to 50% is what we're telling people. Because if you drop them from tier 4 at 40 cents down to tier 1 at 15 cents, you just cut their power bill in half. It's like a complete no-brainer.
Are you able to save money off every bill? Like when you do, let's say you said $250 a month, that's what their bill is, their electrical bill.
Everybody's bill's different.
So you can save money every time?
Every time.
Or possibly eliminate.
Well, I just explained it, right?
Right.
I'll drop them from tier 4 to tier 1, I'm going to cut their bill in half just by doing that. So you can walk in and confidently say, I'm going to save you 30%.
Do you have any kind of...
And then when they say 50, they're going to be like, I thought you said I was only going to save 30%, I'm saving 50%. And you're like, yeah, I know, I wanted you to be a surprise.
Do you have any kind of an option for new construction, so where there isn't already a previous power bill, like just based on maybe a high credit rating?
We are in the process of that, but that would be what's called a purchase rather than a PPA.
Okay. So it'd just be straight up finance.
Yeah, so every state has different rules and laws, and it's a big cluster. And so the idea is, the easiest is the PPA, the Power Purchase Agreement. It's a 20-year contract. The purchase, you pay off between 8 and 12 years, but the monthly payments are higher on a purchase than on a PPA. So it depends. Do you want to save more money up front and go longer? Or do you want to save less money up front but pay it off faster? Versus, those are basically the two issues. I don't even talk about leases or anything. I don't think it's a good deal for the customer.
Yeah, there's just so much new construction in Canada, especially Western Canada, where you have whole entire neighborhoods of identical houses. I'm seeing it everywhere. Yeah. And it'd be pretty easy to go in there and just map the whole area, that sort of thing. But that's
and you give away one commercial deal a month, make $100 grand a month, one deal. Nice. I mean, those are also, residentials are fast and easy.
Yeah.
Pop. But these commercial deals, these grocery stores and stuff like this.
What sort of
Power bill.
But I mean, just the same.
Yeah.
Does it have to be over?
Like the guy that I just did has got a $25,000 a month power bill. I'm dropping his bill to $15,000 a month, and so he's gonna save $10 grand a month. And he's got a 6-figure commission.
So they still have to own the building. They still have to own the building.
They have to own the building.
$1,000 per deal? Save them 30% a month?
We can do it up to $5 million.
This guy's telling the truth. I think we're on something.
It's the same size of a Tesla car battery. I can see it.
Oh yeah? You done solar?
It's heavy.
I've got an on-here place on a horse trailer.
Kilowatt hours?
Like I can still plug it in.
Oh, so he's speaking your language.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if there's 25 installs, we'll go to Minnesota. So you got to give away 25 systems for us to start installing there. Which we'll have very soon.
Dude.
I'm begging you next door. Great. Send me an email too. We're going to put a whole group together. That'll be not communicate here.
You don't even have to get a meeting. Just say, send me a copy of your bill.
And you're saying you want to get the U.S. before we can move into Canada?
That's the work. That's the lead right there. That's the lead.
The same rules as the U.S. and I don't see why we've been doing it. We haven't done an install in Canada yet, but
possibly simultaneously then. Because
if you can get 25, if you can get 10, 25 bills submitted in Canada, we'll go to Canada.
Guaranteed.
Consider it.
25 now units.
That's it. 25, and you guys can run the entire territory. It's yours.
No,
I mean, it's brand freaking new. Nobody knows about this. We've done less than 100 installs.
Now we're talking.
Because the problem is in the storage.
No, we're right now using the grid as the battery bank, if you will. So all day long it pumps energy to the grid and your meter spins backwards. And then at night, you pull from the grid and it spins. And did you use more than you produced? And if you did, you pay the spread. If you produce more than you used, then you get a check back.
I keep saying this also.
International, they have to work with the American bank.
You can just forward it. I don't know. I have no idea how each power company, some won't even buy it. Power company pays it. Now, we pay you your commission. We can pay you in Bitcoin if you want.
Yeah, the money commission is out.
I can send your commission to whatever bank you want your commission to, or Bitcoin if you don't want to use a bank.
Nice.
My step is to make a Visa card that says the logo that's elevated on the card. And then we're just going to load the card, and everyone will just get a debit card to send to them in the mail. And then every 2 weeks, I load your commissions right to the card, and then you can just go to the ATM and pull out cash and just spend it anywhere they take.
I love this more and more by the minute.
Yeah.